Oh, it's fine.
G'day, I'm Rebecca from CQ Sewing and Patchwork in Rockhampton, Queensland, Australia. We're up to free block frenzy number 5. We're using the lazy angle ruler brought out by Creative Grids. And welcome to those of you who have jumped on board and are doing our block of the month either in store or online. Let's get started. So these are our 4 colours we're using this week. We use the black and white every month and we just change the other 2 colours. All our pieces are cut at 6.5 inches. You can use the lazy angle ruler to neaten up your strip and make sure it's 6.5 inches wide. I put one of the lines on the bottom of the ruler along the edge of my fabric and I neaten up my fabric so it's 6.5 inches wide. We cut kits for all the people in store doing our block of the month, and they'll need to trim their fabrics back to 6.5 inches. So we're starting with our white fabric and we're going to cut out a piece A. We position the 6.5 inch line on the ruler and we cut the shape. Turn the ruler around 180 degrees, match up the shape with the 6.5 and then cut the straight edge. We'll need 4 piece A of the white fabric. So you line up the 6.5 inch straight line on the edge of your fabric and then cut the angle. Once we've got our 4 piece A of our white, we're now going to cut piece B, which is the small triangle on the edge of the ruler. So this time we're using our pink fabric. We've got a nice straight edge to work from. You line up the line on the ruler with the edge of your fabric and you cut piece B triangle. Flip the ruler over and you'll see the opposite triangle on the other end, and continue working along your strip of fabric until you've got 4 piece B triangles cut. We're up to our purple, we're just getting a nice straight edge, and again we're going to cut piece B triangle. You'll also need 4 piece Bs of the purple. So we've got 4 piece B of the pink and the purple, and now we're going to cut our black fabric. So with our black, this time we're turning it upside down so the wrong side of the fabric is facing up, and we're going to again cut out piece B, and we'll need 4 of these. Once we've got all our pieces cut, we're ready to start piecing together. So we start with our white A and our pink B, and we sew a triangle onto the edge using a scant 1/4 inch seam. Do that with all 4 pieces, and now we're ready to trim. Rotate your block and we're trimming off the thick end of the pink, lining up the 6.5 inch line with the edge of our block. You've got the good side of the fabric facing up, and repeat for all 4 pieces. So now we're ready to piece on our purple triangle. Again, you use a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance and you repeat for all 4. I'm using a finger presser bought out by Clover to give it a light press, first from the back to set the seam, then the front. And now we're ready to trim the block again. This time we're turning the block over to the wrong side. Make sure you've got your triangles facing the right way. And we're trimming off the large end of the purple triangle. Again, you line the 6.5 degree line up with the edge of our block. And we repeat for all 4 pieces. Remember, we've got the wrong side of the fabric facing up. Once we've got all 4 pieces cut, we then go on and attach our last triangle, which is our black. So now we've got the 4 corners of our block done. Do we like it like this? No. We might rotate these around and find a better pattern. Turn them around and you'll get a pinwheel in the centre of your pink and purple. And we think the pattern like that looks a lot better. Don't you agree? Yes. So now we go ahead and piece the 4 pieces together, the 2 sides to start with. So now when I'm piecing these 2 together, we've got a point to match up in the middle to get the pinwheel just right. So what I tell people to do is increase their stitch length on their machine to about a stitch length of 3 and just sew over that middle section. So it's only about 8 stitches. Open it up and have a look. If you're not happy with your point, you simply grab hold of one of those threads that you use to piece it and pull it, and it comes out nice and easily. And then have another go and try and get that point matching up. If you're happy with your point, drop your stitch length back to about 2.2 and sew from one end to the other end, making sure that you stitch right over the top of those previous line stitches in the centre. And that will give you a perfect point without unpicking every time. So there it is. Number 5, all complete. Well, that's Free Block Frenzy number 5, all complete. It ends up being a 12.5 inch block. As long as you've used a scant 1/4 inch seam, your block should end up all 12.5 inches. The lazy angle ruler can be found on our website, www.cqsewing.com.au. That's if you live in Australia. Any other country and you'll find them at your local quilt store. Thank you. See you next month.